Good morning, Stewart. It's Monday, the 19th of April, bright sunny day here in Chesterfield. What's it like with you?
Well, down here in Cambridgeshire, it's another bright sunny day after a couple of bright sunny day weekends. So it's going to be look forward to a bright sunny week, Steve. So looking forward to it.
Wonderful. So, listen, delighted that you're joining me this morning on what I'm calling CloudTrade TV, our weekly podcast. I think this is number 8 in the series. So delighted that you could join us, and I'll explain to listeners in a second the reason why. But the subject of this this chat is whether organizations who are looking to manage or automate the processing of documents, invoices and orders and so on in their business, whether it should be on premise or in the cloud. A lot of discussions going on in the market around both of those two options. Come back to what I said earlier on. You and I have known each other for 20 odd years. I know you've worked in this industry for most of that. Do you want to just give a quick couple of minutes as to your background and what makes you a subject matter expert? You are, in my view anyway, in this industry.
Thank you for that, Steve. Very, very appreciated. A long time ago I started my career, it seems, but time flies. You know, it was back in the days when microfilm was king. And it was typically used for archiving, you know, and everybody used that. But then in the 1980s, along came computers linking microfilm with a database, and that kicked off innovation for the first time around 100 years, believe it or not. And technology followed very quickly from then on. And I've taken that journey ever since through mainframes, optical disc, CD-ROM. I remember first seeing those on Tomorrow's World where a guy put marmalade on it and said you can still use them. And now cloud storage. So now it's been a really interesting journey. But if we look at outsourcing, you know, it's not new. It's been around for a long time. You know, it's been widely used in the days of microfilm. Specialist equipment was required to capture the documents, you know, and then you need to develop the film with chemicals. And some of those organisations provide those services, grasp this new technology and put it into a new outsource model. So I think if we look at it, you know, we've always been on this track, taking new technology, enhancing it, and either having it in-house, on premise, or an outsource application.
Okay, interesting. So interested to hear you talk quite a bit there about outsourcing. So again, in the context of, if you think about our mainstream, should I say, of business that we write for our customers, and that's around processing their inbound invoices and their inbound customer orders. So I have an option, really. Do I go and procure software and everything that goes with it to make it run and manage that myself, or do I put it in the cloud? And I suppose, you know, do I run the cloud myself, or do I give it to an outsourcer to run the cloud? So really interested in that context to understand those options and what you believe in your experience, given that here we are at the beginning of 2021, coming out of the pandemic, which is the best option and why?
Okay, that's a really good question, Steve. And you know, it's not an easy one to answer because there's lots of twos and fours. But if I look at it, if we look at not the on-premise or cloud, but let's look at the technology that sits behind that, and I think that's really important. You know, if we look at OCR or RPA capture solutions, because we've got to capture the data from a document and process it. You know, if it's on-prem, then the company has a responsibility to make the software work. So they will buy that from a vendor, and it's down to them to tweak it, etc. And we know that those technologies, you know, are very labour intensive because you have to rely on the technology within that, and a lot of that underlying technology, it could be 15, 20 years old. So the quality of the data that it produces is not as good as you expect in today's technology set. So what happens is that, you know, if it's on-prem, you know, you've got to check every document to make sure the information that's been captured is correct. And that takes away employees from value-added processes. So you're double checking, double touching these documents. And that's why companies, and I'm going to another sort of offshore process here, is that a lot of companies found that there's a lot of overhead and cost, but they ship that offshore, but they only get mess for less. So it's all about the overhead cost and the quality of the data. Because what people want nowadays, they want data they can actually post first time into the target system, whatever that may be, accounts payable or an order processing system. So, and if you look at cloud, so with cloud capture solution, you do need again to look at the technology, because if it's using OCR RPA, you still need to touch every document. So I'd say don't go there. It's really important. If you're in the cloud, you wanted a solution that basically is lights out. You can pass that data, or you can have your information processed in the cloud, and for it to deliver you back a clean data set. And the only way to do that is to have constant technology refresh, which is really important, because if you're on-prem, you made the investment in all that technology, and you may be writing over 3, 4, or 5 years. So you're going to be stuck with that. And by the time you come to refresh, it could be another 5, 6 years. So with the cloud, normally most organizations nowadays are very free to foot. The service providers, they either say it's a year contract or 3-year contract, but built in that, they're constantly updating their back-end systems to deliver faster solutions, because they rely on transactions going through. So the quicker the transactions going through, the less exceptions they have, the better it is for the client, and the client will stay with them for a longer period of time. So I think what we've done in CloudTrade, I think it's one of the reasons why I joined the business, is that CloudTrade threw away the rule book when it built the platform. That's how I see it, because they said, why are we still OCR in the documents when the data is in front of us? As we know, all the systems now generate a data PDF from the back end. And they are data rich. Within there, you've got an underlying data set. So with the CloudTrade technology, it's built from the ground up, and it is world leading, I found, because it's only one of the newest patented products out there for capture technology, and they're not easy to achieve.
So really interesting. What I take away from that, Stewart, is you can buy technology, run it yourself in-house, but you've got not only the cost of buying it, the capital expenditure, you've got the operating expense, you've got to manage data technology, and when you move to the cloud, you're going to leverage best of breed, latest innovative technology, and importantly, you agree with your service provider who's running the cloud service for you what the output you require, and for the term of the contract they'll deliver it. So you've got a known price, you've got a known service, and it runs seamlessly in the cloud. That brings me nicely on to the next question I was going to ask you.
Okay.
Pause for a second, Stu. Let them have the ability to edit. So Stuart, the next question really that springs to mind, and you hear this all the time, is the cloud secure? If I'm transacting, sensitive data on an invoice, it gets hacked, or the service provider running it, is my sensitive data going to fall into the wrong hands?
Yes, we hear these horror stories time and time again, or maybe organisations losing data, but there is no need to be scared of the cloud. It is mature, more mature than you may think. The first cloud solution I implemented with a pan-European footprint was 23 years ago.
Wow.
And that was back in 1998. And CloudTrade has provided their solution for over 10 years. So let's get that the baseline. It's been there for a long time. It's solid and it's robust. I think what layers on top of that you've got to understand is, you talked about security. And I think one of the most important things you need to understand, and you need to do your due diligence within the organisation, is what security procedures they have in place.
Right.
I remember the good old days with ISO in 2010. But CloudTrade, has invested time and money in ISO 27001, which is a security standard, and that is really core for it, because it's about implementing, operating, monitoring, and implementing the systems and security around that, and that's really important.
I was just smiling to myself when you talked about the ISO standards. You and I will remember BS 5750
We
when
do, yes.
when it first came out in our industry, and all of the other requirements around image quality and e-scanners and what have you. Yeah. Really interesting. So just thinking about that cloud connectivity, I agree with you. It's been around a long time. We all use internet banking today.
Sure.
We all use Amazon and lots of other media out there. So it is commonplace. So I've got a supplier sending me an invoice, or I've got a customer sending me an order. What is the mechanism that you recognise that allows that sending party to deposit the document in my cloud service so that I can manage it and deliver the output into my back-end system?
Yeah, if we look, there's a standard. It's really an international standard. It's come out of California. It's been around for many years. So it's SFTP, secure file transfer protocol. Please get my tongue around the long words there. So that's, when I speak to clients, that's the first thing they ask: what method do you use? And if you look at your browser and your internet, you see the URL and you see a little padlock there, and that tells you it's secure. That's key. So, and everybody's familiar with that. You speak to a client, you've got that ticks the box, and then below that you have, how is that data encrypted? So what you have there then is you have the SSH, which is the secure shell security on that, which is really important, because that means the data within there is encrypted. I think I call it cryptographic encryption on there. Again, and that is an international standard. Uses that, so there is a backwards and forwards, so data going into the client or coming back from the client. You may have lookup tables, for example, then that follows that same route. The days of having pipe to pipe connections into client's back-end system, that's no longer required. And clients, you deposit this into a secure area in a server and they pick it up, so it's even more secure, so they can run a virus checks not ever need to. So really, to be honest, Steve, the question of security doesn't really come up. As long as you satisfy those two key requirements, then everybody is very, very happy with that, it seems.
Super, fantastic. I'm conscious of time and want to keep these short, sharp, and
Sure.
snappy.
Okay.
So just to round things up, then we've talked about the difference between on-prem or in the cloud. I think I'm hearing some very strong messages from you that actually the cloud, leading edge technology, that's the way of the future.
Absolutely.
Sum it up and give me some 5 bullet points then as to what moving to the cloud would mean to me if I was a customer coming to CloudTrade, as an example.
I think it's really important to understand that I've got 5 key points, and I think nowadays we get a lot of business who are startups, the vast majority, and they're growing very quickly. So first of all, the one I'll look up is the solution scalable. Has it got scalability to grow? And that's really important. And cloud gives you that, because with CloudTrade, we use Microsoft Azure. So as the volumes ramp, they can be ramped and managed very, very quickly. So first one is scalability, because it doesn't scale, then you've got big problems. The mobility. We've gone through this terrible pandemic recently, and it's been able for people to work remotely, because I've spoken, I deal with clients from Australia, and you hear these terrible stories whereby people can't get in the office and process the invoice to pay them. Where organisations and our clients have had the ability to work from home, that gives them the ability to keep the business operating. So it's all about operational. Will the business operate if I have a major disaster? So that's really important. Competitive edge. The people, why talk about competitive edge? Because cloud gives you the fleet of foot to change very, very quickly. If you need to change something within the application, it's very, very easy to do for clients, for the service provider to do that. And if you've got a new product, a new service, you can quickly deploy that. It doesn't take months and months to deliver that.
Mm-hmm.
And efficiency and cost reduction. Again, we talked about the costs of putting it on-prem, the licensing fee, buying the hardware, and the ongoing maintenance of that. as we said, you said earlier on, you can back me up, is that you talked about, you've got a fixed known cost going forward, and as your volumes increase, you know what that cost is going to be. There's no additional infrastructure which you need. And most importantly is, I would say, that you're getting the latest technology. Right. Because these organisations in the cloud are constantly using new platforms, constantly tweaking the service to make it quicker and faster. And there's no impact to the client. And all that they go in there one day, it all looks the same, but behind the scenes there may be a technology refresh, just as what CloudTrade are going through at the present time. Absolutely. We're upgrading everything because we see how it's moving forward. So they're the key points: scalability, mobility, competitive edge, efficiency, cost reduction, and latest technology, Steve. And that's how I see it.
Stuart, as always, it's been a great pleasure. I can hear the passion in your voice, and you've clearly mentioned to the listeners your level of experience, your time in this industry. So you speak with authority when you discuss these subjects. So really appreciate it, and I think you're absolutely in line for the Oscar that's sitting to your left-hand shoulder. So
thanks, Steve.
Hopefully the listeners will have enjoyed it, and if anybody wants any more information about CloudTrade, about our cloud service delivering trusted data, then please go to our website. Lots of rich information, videos, and you'll find our contact details. So we're delighted to hear from you. Stuart, thanks again for your time, and see you on the next one.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.